again. I'm John Brennan, and welcome to the Commonwealth Bank Cup as we raise the kin Sunday mornings. And again, the Commonwealth Bank and our friends National, Electronic Sales and Rental Weeks to bring you the modern game of rugby league, and played at its best, and by that I mean high school style. Over 130 schools from all over New South Wales and Queensland have, of today, launched themselves into an elimination series of matches, and culminating with zone finals, group finals, then quarters, semis and grand final right here happening on August 11. Tonight, stepping onto the stage, two teams to whet the appetite of league supporters no matter where you are. Evans High, which has a terrific Leichhardt record, and the school which has produced one of Sydney's finest goal-kicking and try-scoring wingers, Mark Ross, formerly of Penrith, now of course with Souths, and their opponents, Cabramatta High, and entering the Commonwealth Bank Cup for the very first time. A warm welcome to them, and I understand they're expecting a pretty exciting baptism. With me for every run, tackle and move, first up tonight, Chief Sports Writer Buxton. And Alan, needless to say, we're always delighted to have you. An extremely warm welcome for 1982.
Thank you very much, John. Lovely to be here again.
No doubt for the next 21 weeks we will unearth another Ivan Henjak, Peter Sterling, Mark Ross. The list is unlimited.
They're all out there. We've seen just so many great young players now, and they're all making inroads now in first grade, second grade football. So there's quality there, and it's just a matter of, well, you're going to see it 9:15 every Sunday morning. And what a brilliant idea to put it on at 9:15 Sunday morning.
Thank you, Alan Clarkson. Good to have you, and we'll talk about that a little later, probably at around about half-time. In the meantime, Alan Clarkson, our special guest, and we warmly welcome again Ray O'Donnell, our very trusty statistician. And now to the lineup of the teams. Well, let's have a look at Cabramatta High first of all. At fullback is Joe Florio. The wingers are Craig Burgess and Peter Clausen. The centres Craig Brown and Victor Morgan. The 5'8" Michael Boykoff. Adam Tiskovich is the half. Lock is Craig Thomas. The second rowers Alan Beard and Rodney McDonald. The props are Rodney Radov and Francis Van Oren. And the hooker is Ray Scala. At fullback for Evans High, Andrew Scott. The wingers are Jeff Hutchin and Miles Murphy. The centres Peter Scarva and Brett Clark. At 5'8", Brian Thomas. The half is Darren Lee. The lock is Brett Ross. The second row is Paul King, Barry Reedy. And the props are Peter Kay, Richard Arbella, and at hooker is Pat Ebsworth. So there we have the lineups of the sides. And both coaches have given their teams an injection of confidence, I can assure you. Is running left to right of your screen. Cabramatta High in the maroon jumpers with the green V. And to get us up and away, we have as our referee tonight, Barry Bolton. And appreciating first feel of the ball will be Evans High. August last year, grand final night, the Oval was very worn after a hard and busy program on it. But as you can see, the Oval beautifully relayed, and I can tell you as green as a rainforest, Alan.
Yes, it's in superb condition.
So there is the first drop ball of the evening, and Cabramatta with it. And just out, and they're up within the 5, and the first penalty of the evening to Cabramatta High. And it will be Craig Brown who will be taking the ball, and very much appreciated in the opening minute of play. Just outside the quarter and from dead centre field, he will have a potted goal. And Craig Brown, I might mention, he's wearing jumper number 3. The centre is one to represent at regional level in the athletics field for...
Out there, of course, will be a little difficult for the boys now. It's there that the impact of the test will be a big lift for Cabramatta. It's, as you mentioned, John, it's their first time in. And to come up with 2 points in the first couple of minutes of the game, it'll give the boys a lovely boost.
Well, he's all set like a jelly. And so easy as that. First points on the board to Cabramatta High. And out there, supporters delirious. And in great depth and numbers too, I might mention, on the right-hand side of our grandstand, which is pretty well packed at this time of the evening. So Cabramatta High lead Evans High 2-0. Opening match of the Commonwealth Bank Cup 1982. There she goes. And out to the wing of Craig Burgess. and we'll have a scrum. Craig Burgess repped in Parramatta's Harold Matthews under-14s last night, and he also has repped at regional level in athletics and does a real speed job for his side.
Notice the size of the front row from Evans High. Big young men.
Mammoth. This is Lee, the young halfback, trapped. From Peter Kay. Now with their lock of
tackle.
Brian Brett Ross, and he is the younger brother of Mark Ross, whom I'll refer to a little later in our show. At dummy half is Ebsworth, and they keep it instead right through the ruck, and this is Ross again making good ground just outside Cabramatta's quarter. Ebsworth straight away to Lee, now with Thomas, has his centre lined up, and he's a good centre too, Brett Clark. But a mislaid pass, and for the knock-on we'll have a Cabramatta's territory. Evans High had a couple of early hit-outs to help them with their training build-up for the cup to Clark. Big centre wrapped up by Craig Brown, 30 metres out from Cabramatta's goal line. And that's his centre partner, Peter Savar. Has great pace, that young boy. Ebsworth, a dummy half, feeding it to Reedy. And there's a welcoming committee in the shapes of Thomas. Side now goes Kay, slips a nice one. And that's Ross, very involved in the opening minutes of play. Peter Kay, a dummy half. Lee, now with Thomas. Chiming in nicely, Scott. Savar, stepping beautifully, and cover needed then by Cabramatta. Good tackle brought off by Michael Boykoff. Now they're out on the left, Kay slipping it out to Miles Murphy, and as you saw, he overran the ball. And Cabramatta come up with possession. But Evans had them well and truly under pressure then.
Even so early in the match, they look very, very good, I think, Evans. Very strong team, just turned the ball over there again.
Yes, in the opening minutes of play, attacking very intelligently. Of course, they've had the major share of the ball, and they've had the better of the action. So midway between the goal line and quarter, Cabramatta's territory. Ross tackled nicely by Adam Tiskovic, Cabramatta's half. Now with more. Clark. Savar again looking threatening. See, they're called upon to do some tackling, as does Tiskovic for Cabramatta. But Evans on the thin side. Only about 8 metres out from the line. Reedy a dummy half. Straight away his second row partner. That was King. Over the top was Radov for desperation stuff then from McDonald. The second rower. King a dummy half. Pass, Lee. Feeds Thomas. Clark. And that was Victor Morgan regaining possession. But
yes, it looked to me then as if Evans should have scored. I think they were a little intent upon scoring themselves to start with and didn't move it around. As soon as they moved it out, there was danger lurking out wide, but a bad pass, as you saw.
Craig Thomas moving forward for Cabramatta. Rain falling at Leichhardt. Peter Kay, would have numbed the brain. Nearly sawed him in half. Evans with it. Ball turned over.
I haven't looked. Is he up?
He's set like a jelly. Thomas plays at centre field with Ross now. Peter Kay takes it up. Tackle there with Tiskovic again. Now with Ross. Thomas with the knock-on. So again, Evans High continually almost encircling Cabramatta High as if they were the enemy, imprisoning them into nil after 6.5 minutes of play. First one for Cabramatta. Tiskovic, currently in Parramatta's ball side, the young halfback. This is Boykoff, the captain of the side, and the 5'8", the right, McDonald. Goes back, and again they turn it over. Reedy pressing forward. Back now. Lee. This time, Thomas. Chop out. Savar. Unleashes there. Arriving was Andrews.
Yes, they've just got to be a little more careful, I feel, and then things will open up for them. They're getting enough possession, big pack of forwards, moving it well, but probably moving it just a little too much at this stage. Little short passes, that's what they need. That's 4-1 now, the scrums, and that's a lot of possession.
Ross making good ground, and it was bad luck for Brian. Still in possession with Reedy, getting it out very smartly to Kay. Chop out again, lines up his winger, lays it on for him. Hutchin is there. Yes! Opening try of the Commonwealth Bank Cup season 1982. And what a try, and first try of the night too to Jeff Hutchin. And the pass came to him from Peter Kay. Lined it up nicely and he finished so well. 3-2 favour of Evans.
Held it up that little bit. He was overrun and was smart enough to just hang on to it, and then just served a nice pass up for the winger, who took it easily and went over for a try that was inevitable, I'm afraid.
Well, he has a double celebration, young Jeff Hutchin. He was the runner-up in the Blacktown City Games last year in the junior tennis competition, and our first try scorer for the Commonwealth Bank Cup 1982. But that was nice work. They continually and perpetually pressurised Cabramatta's goal line from outside their quarter, and ultimately a good pass from Peter Kay. Has nice ball sense, big, bulky, busy and bustling already, and biggest man in their side. Plays grade union for, I think, Cabramatta. So now we have the
he's a handy young fellow to have on your side in schoolboy football.
Well, that's a shorty, and the score remains Evans High 3, Cabramatta 2. As I said, Evans have really been in their bill tries, and against Blacktown Workers, which is their under-18s, they lost 12-6, but their coach, Paul Kerr, in association with Keith Marshall, were telling me that they loaned 2 of their stars to the opposition Blacktown Workers. But since then, it's been faultless training, and tonight, faultless football coming up from Evans. Peter Kay again, doing heavy work. Really on the attack.
Big man, big young man, isn't he?
Yes.
Smart bit of work.
Chipping it to behind, back there saving Craig Burgess. Cabramatta with the ball.
Good bit of work by the winger then. He knew he was offside and held back because he saw the other 2 coming up.
Joe Flory is hoping to turn it on then. Comes away right side, Bala. And Evans High have it. With Lee now. Straight away to Thomas. At least Ross. Works it to Peter Kay. And trying to work it out to Miles Murphy's wing. I'll tell you about him in a moment. He's the New South Wales juvenile 200-metre sprint record holder. This is King making no pardons and coming away on the quarter. Lee, Thomas. That's Brett Clark. And back on the rescue was Peter Clausen.
In this sort of weather, it can be on. It can be a little bit sure of yourself as you are when in dry conditions, and it was a nice bit of work. Good variation.
He's a good thinker, that Brett Clark. Number 4, Evans High in the centre, captain of the side, school captain, and held the record in Penrith District last year for goal kicking. He plays for the Blacktown Workers junior side. They tell me they call him Super Breaks. That's because he can scurry away from a standing start and then suddenly, instantly stop.
Yeah.
Key figure of the side. Goal line drop. Picked up by Abella, by Boykoff. Oh, through the middle, Reedy is there. Oh, the intent was great.
Yes, dry weather, that would have been a try.
Pat Ebsworth, the hooker, has had
Very
a few
lively player too.
Yes, has had a few sturdy scrum wins in his life too, they tell me.
Here's another one.
No. Tiskovic in there for Cabramatta. So now they'll try and work it away from there. Maybe only the second we've had of the night. Yes, Ray O'Donnell assures me it's the second.
Both to Cabramatta.
Craig Brown. It's midway between their goal line and their quarter. It seems that they've been pinned down there for an eternity. I'm sure Cabramatta must be thinking that. 13 minutes of play, they've been constantly down there. They're trailing by 1 point. Evans leading 3-2. That was a run from Francis Van Oren. Radov.
Oh.
That defence felled him very smartly. There's Kay in there.
Big difference between the teams around the rucks, of course. Evans High, their defence up the middle is just superb.
Boycott way. And for the knock-on, we'll have the scrum 10 metres out from Cabramatta's line. Evans High 3, Cabramatta 2.
Yes, I could imagine it would be desperation, John, against the Evans High.
Maybe a consultation there with Peter Kay, was it, and Radov from referee Barry Bolton. A few stern words, and back into their respective places in their packs to form the scrum. Evans again with Lee. Going to be a sneak. And he was offside, Tiskovich. And here goes Reedy for the line. Big, courageous, stout-hearted stuff from Cabramatta. Ross stepping. Knocked it on. So a scrum only must be centre. Almost in front of the goal mouth. Ross Wheeler tells me he's predicting with a penalty. Having a word with Tiskovich, who was the offender. And referee Bolton has awarded this penalty kick to differential penalty to Evans High. So Ross. The great diversion, and fortune didn't favour the brave or the those filled with initiative that time.
No, double knock on. They're a bit difficult, I think, in conditions like this for those sort of moves to come off.
Well, good to see this time Craig Thomas, another to get in the Parramatta ball cap this year from fullback. Actually, it was Boykov there, 5'8". Now Radov. Oh, gee, the tackling there is just superb stuff. Really timing their hits very well. Reedy. And their running is so purposeful. He's opposite McDonald, bringing down Reedy that time. Ebsworth. Lee. Now with Thomas. Savar, and he does save for Evans. And up comes the pressure again with Lee. And over the top is Beard. Now back. Ross quickly to Kay. Gives a nice one to Clark. Brought down 4 metres short of the line. Swiftly out to Reedy. Little high chip. Cabramatta out of trouble, and that was Florio doing some nice work. Tell me he's quite a flamboyant fullback, and also likes to run and run hard and fast, which adds a great amount of colour to his game. So here we have the goal line drop out from Craig Brown. Lee again, and right on their quarter. He skated off nicely. Now with King. Back again to Peter Kay. Good work from Craig. Brian Thomas. Scott.
Oh, nice.
Glorious tackle. Boykov the 5'8". Smart with his distribution and very secure in defence. That was Scott chiming in. Tiskovich the tackler. Ebsworth from dummy half. Back to Ross. Reaches. Oh, try. Yeah, simple one. The scorer, Ross, he made it possible. Nice turn of ball, and Ross scored it. It's now 6 points to 2.
Yes, that was a beautifully engineered try. Made to look a little simple, I thought, by the excellence of the play from both of them, as you see here.
Ebsworth. I tell you what, he's a busy boy. Just wind him up and he keeps on going.
Yes, I like the hooker too. He's a very useful young player.
Yes. Young Brett Ross, the younger brother of Michael Ross, who's playing on the wing for Souths, and last
Great
Sunday,
distinction too, I might add.
Scored another try, makes 6 for the season with 18 points, and the Premiership's leading try scorer. Side of the post. Good shot of it here. So the score remains Evans High 6, Cabramatta High 2. Well, we're going into our 8th year of this competition again, and welcoming back the associated sponsors that have been with us for the history of the competition, and each year rewarding the player who has finally been determined as Player of the Year, and I refer to Radio 2SM. The prize is a $4,000 tertiary educational scholarship, and it comes once again through the generosity of our GM and there, Tony Molson, and the rest of the staff. The voting in the 2SM Player of the Year will, as in previous years, commence at the group final stage and then proceed through to the cup final stage. But our thanks to 2SM, top dogs again.
Yes, it's a marvellous award, I feel, and one that's obviously well sought by the players. Can be an enormous benefit to players in later life.
Well, Craig Brown with good movement too, hugging the line and ran out of room. And good stopping from Brett Clark. He really decked him, but timed his tackle nicely. But he made good ground, Craig Brown. The first time that Cabramatta have been into Evans's half since the opening minute of the game.
A little further up
penalty to Cabramatta High. The differential goes to the Maroons with the green V. And Craig Brown asked to do a lot of kicking in the opening 20 minutes of play. Let's see if he can judge this one nicely. Good touch finder too. Good and well. Midway between the quarter and goal line, Evans's territory. So Scala coming up now. Feeding it to Radoff. And Ross. Scala. Crisscross. Boycott. Oh, back inside. Oh, Scala. Forward. By Jove, some top work there, Alan.
Yes, there was some top work, but it was the referee was right on the spot and was 100% right. The ball did go forward, but it was pretty dangerous there for a while, and Brown, I think it was, that made the last dent there. Ooh, very determined run.
Yes, he.
Oh, here it is.
Fairly
now.
punishing centre. Causing them a bit of a problem because he made a good run up here just at halfway.
Yes.
And then followed it through here with some nice feeding from Boykoff, the 5'8", who delivered his pass beautifully. Timed it so well. And Brown ran onto it so beautifully too. Gatachi good. Nice thinking footballer too. Boykoff from 5'8", stepping. Held by King and Ross. Scala. Didn't fool Peter Kay and a host of others in there. King as well. And some misunderstanding between Radoff and Boycott. And Peter Kay now. But decked by Francis Van Oren. And this is Reedy, a Penrith Fleek side boy. And I hear he's adept at centre or fullback, but playing in the second row tonight. Edgeworth. Lee, dangerous. Oh, Boykoff! And what a lovely thinking little bit of work. Almost nice velvet touch there from Boykoff. And nearly a score through Victor Morgan.
Very, very close there.
But that was nice penetrative stuff there and very intelligent, very enterprising play by Boykoff.
Yes, he's a very, very good player and very quick off the mark, and he's I like the way he's thinking all the time. He's trying to change the pattern of play. There are 2 tries to nil down, but you wouldn't know it the way this young man's getting into the action. And it's good in the back line, and we'll need to do a little bit more, I feel. The forwards now taking the ball up there, but running into, and I've got to keep on pointing out this defence from Evans High, just how hard these men need to be.
Well, they're into action now and trying to feed this ball out. That's Tiskovic, and wrapped up by his opposite Lee, and also in there assisting Abella. Now McDonald tries for Cabramatta, but Ross says,
good pass, son.
Lovely football. Nice little thinker. That nearly became a score because it was the first exquisite piece of skill we saw tonight from Boykoff. Not only did he almost have it in his possession, put it straight onto his boot for the little grubber through.
That's right.
But it went unrewarded. There's the double. Boykoff still looking for the return ball from Craig Brown. Right on Evans's highs quarter. Now with McDonald. Playing with much more zest now. Coming back.
With the scrums at 5-all, John, it's made a lot of difference now. They were down 3-1, I think, at 3-0. And that little bit of extra ball now is just doing them a...
Oh, Thomas, tearaway stuff. Oh, yes, they've been courageous in defence down the other end, but showing flair and attack now. Spinning that ball. Craig Brown had other ideas about it, but they're still in possession. Boykoff setting sail, lovely pass. Florio looking threatening. I thought he was going to unload it, but showed good sense of holding on as now Beard goes up for Cabramatta. Again, it's Brett Ross in there and fells him. Radov from dummy half. And Cabramatta now 8 metres out from Evans's line, trailing by 4 points. In there is Morgan. Evans leading 6-2, and Scala is a dummy half. 8 metres out. McDonald, and rescue operations, out it goes. That's Clausen for Cabramatta. And over on the right, they keep it. Going Van Oren. Van Oren. 1 ball. Scala losing and turned it over to Evans. And a penalty. No. Last tackle coming up. Radov. Yes. A try to Radov, the big prop. And, well, it's Cabramatta High who've been under the hammer, let me tell you, for just on 30 minutes of this match. And their first real run at the goal line, and they've scored.
Yes, they're to be congratulated, these young men, the way that they've stuck at it. They down 2-0. And, here's the replay now from the penalty. Simple tap and caught the defender. Congratulating all the way through and saying how good they are. But it just shows you... everyone can be a little wrong sometimes.
Well, they're getting more of the ball, Alan, and as I said, they were courageous in defence down the other half.
It's 5-all now, the scrums, and that's made all the difference to they've shown quite a lot of flair. They've just settled themselves down nicely now. And I've noticed, and as you pointed out, John, that the fullback at one stage there looked as if he was going to pass the ball, but hung on to it, and that was good play.
Good play, wasn't it?
It was good play.
But this Rodney Radov, who just scored the try, is with Van Oren, 2 very big men, and I've been told they're sort of run through a brick wall type, and they're doing it at the moment, aren't they?
It's quite obvious. Well, they've got 13 brick walls ahead of them, but he just went over through 3 of them, so, and it was a very, very fine try. Very courageous try.
Well, Evans High 6, Cabramatta High 5, and we have 2 minutes up our sleeve before we reach that half-time spot. But a good match, top match, first up in our Commonwealth Bank Cup. So here's Craig Brown from wide out, 10 metres in from touch. Balloons it, but certainly sends it wide. He steered it very wide. So the score remains Evans High 6, Cabramatta High 5. Now, this is only a fledgling side from Cabramatta. It entered the University Shield last year for the first time, reached, I think it was the 3rd round, and now armed with the experience of those players I've been telling you about. 4 who repped for Parramatta ball and flag last year, 2 players currently with Parramatta's ball, 13, and it might be just an omen for 82. They're coming back into the match. Florio chopping it down. The young fullback has brought it up to his own quarter. Scala now. Reedy is around him. Tigerish there too was Ebsworth. Oh, good play, Van Oren. I thought he was going to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, did well to stay in then.
Lee, Radov, all coming through there like a steam train. Again. Brown. Miles Murphy. He's the fellow whom they'll have to wrap up very smartly. Won the 200, won the 400 metres in the state titles, juvenile also last year, and I understand he's been training for the national titles as well, but he's really one for the customers on a break. Abella, now with Ross. Nice clearance. Florio, Clausen. Clausen's the first. And that was a real clean-up operation for Cabramatta High.
Put the pressure back on them again, but well covered. He took his time and wrapped it up nicely.
And there's the half-time hooter as referee Barry Bolton signals time to end of play in the first session, and we look at the scoreboard that shows a 1-point difference. Evans High leading Cabramatta High in the opening match of the Commonwealth Bank Cup 1982. Evans match for the Commonwealth Bank. Evans High leading Cabramatta High by 6 points to 5. And Evans has ended up on a happy note at half-time. A little bit of a rocky start. And as you can hear, warm applause for both sides. Alan Clarkson, how did you see the first half?
Oh, I enjoyed it very, very much. I thought Evans High were going to run away with it a little when they started, but fooled most of the first half, but came back. And I think once they won a little bit of that possession, when they got up to 5-all and were able to use a little bit of the ball, had a bit of possession and utilised it, and they looked very, very good. And they put a lot of pressure back onto Evans High and scored a very fine try at the finish. And I think their players now are starting to adapt a little bit to the difficult conditions out there, and the conditions are really difficult.
And there's some potentially good players
out there.
Some
very good players there, very good players. I liked Boykov, a couple of the forwards out there, Brett Ross, of course. They look very, very good, you know, potential grade players.
Young Ebsworth, the hooker for Evans.
Oh, that's right. Excellent.
Now, we talked about Mark Ross earlier in the broadcast. Mark a couple of times, so that's through so much over the last couple of years. He is now a great try-scoring winger, the leading one in the premiership for South Sydney. How far can this fella go, Alan?
Well, I think he can go all the way. I like the way he's a great finisher, and he's a player that always seems to be there. He's a very strong player, and he showed last week that he's got quite. He wasn't held, towed it, and went over and scored a very decisive try at that time. And I think that shows the quality of the player.
He's such a strong player.
Oh, very strong player, very strong player, of course. And players now that are good quality players that came out of this competition.
Well, he's learnt his fundamentals very well. Of course, yes. His father, Graham Ross, has been Associate Director of Coaching up at the Penrith area for a long time. Yes. I can't let you go at this period without asking you the big one on Sunday, Manly and Parramatta. I'd like to make a prediction.
I saw Parramatta play last week, and I was very, very, very impressed with them. I thought they played outstanding football, and I think that they can sneak up.
Alan Clarkson's tip for Sunday. All right, the second half. Right now, let's check out the form with both Evans High and Cabramatta High. So there they are from the kick-off. The half-time score in our first-up game of the season was 6-5 in favour of Evans High. So we've got the game in motion once more with Evans High again, this time running right to left of your screen. And Cabramatta High, of course, in their maroon jumpers with the green V. There's a good pass out to Clark. Saver now! And on the outside, Hutchin, the try scorer in the first half, up there in support. With Lee, young Napier halfback, Hutchin, Wellington wearing jumper number 14. Getting his first run in the second half for Cabramatta High. And that happens to be Tony King. So we have a Paul King for Evans High and now a Tony King for Cabramatta.
Possession will be for John.
Yes, Alan, as Evans High attacking in centre field. And that was their centre Clark again. Nice pass fed well to Scott up there in the line. And they're just outside Cabramatta's quarter. Here goes Brett Ross. All tearaway stuff too. And rather upset with the situation was young Brett. The scrum to go down just inside Cabramatta's quarter. Their own ball. That's Craig Brown and Scala, dummy half. Tony King for the knock-on will have a scrum to go down centre field just outside Cabramatta's quarter. Tony King going up in the prop position, and it's a Cabra feed. Lee intentionally forward, and Ross was well and truly on his way. Have a big investment, as does Cabramatta. The quarter, Cabra. They have a big investment with Junior League in the West. For most of the boys during the weekend, they turn out for clubs like Wentworthville and Villawood, and the two most dominant, as the penalty goes to Evans High, and they've had a few words with referee Bolton. He's marched them another 10.
Yes, the referee, when the young man kicked the ball away, and in a little bit of disgust, I suppose, or so they couldn't get it quickly, the referee rightly took the mark up to where the ball landed.
So the planned move from Evans High with Brett Ross taking it up now. It's Peter Kay hitting. I was talking about Cabramatta and Mount Pritchard, those two clubs being real incubators, I know, for Parramatta Rugby League Football Club.
Grow like mushrooms, players.
We have one Cabramatta player requiring some attention at the moment. It's their big prop, Rodney Radov. Ross Wheeler is coaching Cabramatta High, but he's assisted by St George's champion fullback Brian Johnson. Now, he's a PE teacher up at Cabramatta, so if any Cabramatta High, then the duo of Brian and Ross have the talent certainly to bring it out. If they can find someone up there with the flair and the dash and the courage of Johnson, then there'll surely be a young lion.
Oh, yes, he had a marvellous game last week. Missed one ball early, but anyone could do that. But then he more than made amends for it with, I thought, an outstanding game, Johnson.
Laid off, who played the ball, and it was Thomas who came away from dummy half. And up there doing a pile of tackling is both Kay and Reedy for Evans High. Nice hit of the line, and coming from Van Oren. Cabramatta. Boykoff. Trying to do the impossible. It was young Craig Brown then. And brought 10 metres out from Cabramatta's goal line. To the right. This is Brett Ross. 10 metres out. Evans High, if they were standing so beautifully deep. They had fed the ball along the line smartly, then it could have been curtains. On the right, Kay and the tackler McDonald. This is Reedy, the second rower again, a big streaker. As I said to you, he's a centre or a winger, but playing in second row tonight, and you can detect that. With Thomas. Clark, oh, gee! Didn't he come through like a junior Michael Cronin then? He did.
It was, so close to being a try.
There's something about his gait that looks a bit like a junior Cronin.
So I saw Mick play last week, and Mick told me after the match that it was very modest. I think that man's playing his best football of his life right now. Marvellous, 21 points.
Boykoff then looking for the break for Cabramatta. Now it's fed by Thomas, player up to his quarter. Drafting stuff. Number 16 we have on, and that happens to be Michael. And whilst I was looking for that player, apparently a penalty has gone to Cabramatta High.
Yes, Mr. Ross was a little indiscreet in the tackle.
Craig Brown again looking for the line, and it's a clean 10 metres short of their own half. Cabramatta and Radov trying to dent the line, sucks in, as you saw, Kay and Reedy, and Ebsworth was there as well. The tackling is Evans High. Mangy on a dummy half. Brown, nicely to Boykoff. We've got past Ross. Oh, lovely silky run. Nice jinking stuff there from Boykoff. penetrates into Evans's half. And Kay wrapped up right off, was it? No, King. Tony King. Boykoff. Now a big stride here by McDonald. Support on the inside, right on. But they skated away, did Cabramatta, from halfway, and good groundage they've gained. They're just now on Evans's quarter. Count not on your life. Look for that thin side to line up Miles Murphy. We still haven't fleet-footed winger on a break yet. From Peter Clausen. Another who can serve notice with his speed, but it found touch. August 11 is the date for the Cup final, and on that night, whichever two teams will be playing on the field will end up receiving between them over $6,000 worth of TV and or sound equipment for their school. It'll come from National Panasonic, and duo and great benevolence, the Netherlands, they've been dollars worth. And our thanks once again to National Panasonic and Electronic Sales and Rentals.
It's good about going into senior football, where you get a lot of actually something that is well worthwhile and greatly appreciated by the schools.
Alan Clarkson with those comments. Those two outstanding companies believe in high school football and perpetually hand out great awards.
What bad luck.
Yeah. Really a beautiful clean break by Boykoff. Continues to impress me, this young man.
Work.
They provide a thrill win.
He does a lot of defensive work too, John.
Now, here he goes. This is Brett Clark. Murphy has it. Collected beautifully by Clausen. Midway between the quarter, halfway, Evans's territory, and here come the green and golds. Kay on for Evans.
Oh, no, son.
Cabramatta high with the ball. Boykoff.
He lost his head weight.
The number 2 10s are at it again. McDonald, and hit that time by his opposite, Reedy. And he really made contact. To the quarter for top run.
Oh, that was a strong run.
Oh, yes. A real jolter. Now Van Oren. And last tackle coming up. Mangion. And they'll scrum it about 9 metres out from Evans' high goal line. And the score, 6-5 in favour of Evans. 12 minutes gone of the second half.
Young Redoff's showing a lot of courage staying on there. He's had treatment.
Well, this is Brian Thomas. Stopped just about 10 metres out from his own goal line. And they've made a few precious metres. Did Ebsworth. Peter Kay. Good workhorse for Evans. And this is our talented guitarist, that young Abella too. Now with Clausen. Getting out of one tackle. Florio. A half break to Evans's corner. Laid off. On the fly was Brown. And again we'll have a scrum on Evans' high quarter.
Evans leading the scrums of the stage 8-7, although Cabramatta have the penalty 7. Against the feed.
And this is Boykoff trapped again, just inside Evans' quarter. Flying High, a very prestigious trophy for the school in the Metropolitan West, as we need some attention for Boykoff. And it goes to the school in the Metropolitan West, which goes furthest in the University Shield. Now, I think Blacktown High held it for years, but the cup now nestled, in fact, the first football trophy the school's won, I think, since 1973, when it was first erected. And here goes Clark. And in support was both Savar and Hutchman. Peter Kay. And Brown was the principal tackler. Bit of done much better, just a little flip over that time.
Yes, they've got to be... With a pack like they have, I thought they'd play it more on the forwards and short passes and try and power their way, and I think they could probably do it. But yeah, out the backs, I think some conditions for that tonight.
And Richard Abella is off the field for Evans High, and in his place as the substitution is number 14, John Craig, for Evans High. I was just mentioning about Cabramatta, Brian Johnson is directing the Evans High side, and Keith Marshall, in association with Paul Kerr, is coaching the old school, and it's good to see him back in operation. He had a stint in England and transferred from the area, but back to capitalise on his 5 previous years at Evans. Keith was a dashing winger and prolific goal scorer for the Panthers up to last year. Saver from dummy half. Wrapping him up was young Tiskovich. Lee through Thomas. Up there, Scott. Now it's Clark.
Yeah.
Clark. Have to come on back. Scott was up there in support and all. No score in the second half. After 18 minutes of play, the score: Evans High 6, Cabramatta High 5. Craig Brown. Good kick and drive. And 13 Mitch going for the break. Paul King was there to halt him. Now back and they reverse it. Craig Thomas trapped. And still midway between the quarter and halfway in Evans High territory. Number 17 getting prepared to come on for Cabramatta. And number 17 is John Bruno. Is the big prop of Francis Van Oren. Here's Saver. Trying to make progress for Evans. Ebsworth. Brett Ross. And Reedy it was. Lee. Brian Thomas. Mangion halted him. And also there was a checker in the form of Craig Brown. Here's a lovely break there by Thomas. 30 metres out from Cabramatta's goal line. And we'll have a scrum 30 metres out.
Yes, that was really the first time that Evans had looked a little bit dangerous in this half. Cabramatta have been playing very well. They've had quite a bit of possession, of course, and have used it fairly well. And I must again point out the conditions are extremely difficult tonight. Extremely difficult.
Yes, we've had a pile of rain here as a differential penalty goes to Cabramatta High. The clouds look as though they're like getting another drenching, but we certainly had it. The rain came down here. The droplets were just like bullets, and they really hit the ground. To give you an idea of how the boys had to perform in the first few.
In the scrum count, 10-8. Cabramatta have a massive coach will have to have a very serious look at. Whoops.
Boykoff.
Oh.
Brown. Morgan. And Brett Ross retrieving for Evans. And attacking down the right. Looks for support. And he had Scott there, and of course it went astray. But a dynamic run from Brett Ross.
Yes, he's had a nice game, young Ross.
Oh,
nice game.
And I just noticing him, he has that lovely technique enabling enough to bowl over the most enormous of opponents, and must have earned him a good spot in Flegg's, in Penrith's Flegg side this year. He's, I believe he's the fastest in the time trials, and he showed us that just then, down that right flank. 10 metres now in Cabramatta's half. Brian Thomas. Ebsworth. And a nice tackle there, nullified the run. Came to us from Tiskovich. Reedy. Bull Terrier approach. Ebsworth again. Flies the ball out to Kay. Inside Brett Ross. And Cabramatta, with surprise, have come up with the ball once more.
Another replacement.
Another one. And that's number 15 for Cabramatta. So they've used their 5, and that's Andrew Groza. But it's Radov who took it up for Cabramatta. And this time it's Scala. McDonald shooting it out here to Morgan. But well and truly wrapped up by Brian Thomas. And Brett Clark was in there as well. Clearance. Tipped back from Jeff Hutchin to Scott. Second rower, but they're short on fullbacks, I'm told, but he ran like a fullback that time. That's John Craig, number 14. Hey. And the inside alley was King. I thought he was going to backflip at that time. King spots the opening through support. Oh, lovely pass, Brett Ross. And was he there? The arrival was beautiful. Nicely timed. Here goes Reedy. And he's only 3 metres short of the goal line. Oh, boy, are Evans applying it now with Kay to Hutchin in for the second try, proving that lightning does strike twice on the same night. That is Jeff Hutchin, and that is another try that puts Evans ahead 9-5.
Yes, that was a well-engineered try. A lot of good work there. I'm particularly impressed, although he didn't figure too prominently in it, by young Peter Kay, the way he took the ball up earlier. And then that nice pass out, and Hutchins did not take his eyes off the ball, which shows a lot for his courage, because it's easy for me to sit up here and say he didn't take his eyes off the ball. When you're down there and you're going to hear those pounding feet coming at you, I think you've got to be tempted to have a little peep. But you know, he kept his eye right on the ball, knew how important it was, and finished with his second try, and a well-deserved try too. But great lead-up work by the Evans team.
Yes, great stuff.
And a lot of courage too. I mean, let's take our hats off to Cabramatta. They were behind the 8 ball early, and they've come back right into them. And there was only a point into it until, what now, 5 minutes from the finish. And I think that says a lot for the team. And it is their first year in this competition. We'll see a lot more of them too. Of course, they've got a lot of young fellas out there. They'll be back.
Well, they've been probing for gaps all the time, and they've been playing as if it was an out-and-out.
Well, let's face it, when you get into this sort of quality, nearly every match is a final. I mean, they're good teams all the way through.
Brett Clark, and with a very heavy ball, just dropping short and a little wide. So with 5 minutes to go before full time, Evans high 9, Cabramatta high 5. And when Hutchin Donald, who came across him with a great amount of pace to try and hunt him down, but to no avail. Chopped down, ricocheted off from Brian Thomas. And there were a couple of maroon jerseys out there that
could have been a little interesting.
Gimme. Evans High finished in the last 8 of the University Shield last year by the country professionals young. But as you can see tonight, it's all discipline from Evans High.
Well, with 4 minutes to go, there's a bit of pressure on now with that great kick.
So that's Clausen hitting the line. Tackler Ebsworth. He called on to do a bit of Rocket Gibraltar stuff here, Evans. Boykoff on the half break. Brown, if he scoops it out, Florio is there. Boykoff. And he is stopped, really checked. Meters out, and thrown back is Radov. Trying to slip in behind.
Oh, gee, that was close there.
Wasn't it?
Oh, he's a good little player.
Tiskovich. Brown. And we'll have to scrum it down 4 meters out and 3.5 minutes to go. And they need a converted try, and if they do, it's a 10-9 victory to Cabramatta. At the moment, Evans High lead Cabramatta 9-5. All-important scrum for Scarlett. Evans breathed as Lee comes away. And dipped up by Boycott. Yep. And we have time off whilst we have some attention rendered to the young Brett Ross, in fact. Supportive role that Cabramatta High get from Rod Dudley up there. They have to vie for sports talent against a lot of competitive areas like Ashcroft and Miller and Busby. Just mentioning those names, Alan magnifies the strength out there in the west, doesn't he? 6 more. Lee.
It's worth the try.
Yes, very much so.
Made sure that it hit the ground. Very good. Important figures that Ray O'Donnell just showed me. Evans have won the last 4 scrums, which is probably really a match winner, especially those last couple.
That was the principal one to win. Reedy, and now out from Ebsworth. Brett Ross, tackled by his opposite, Craig Thomas.
Ooh, good ball to recover.
Evans, okay.
Oh, nice.
Out it goes. This is Miles Murphy. Look at him scoot. Oh, what a top tackle. That was a top tackle. And it came from Craig Thomas, another to get a Parramatta ball cap this year. And a real tough basic lock forward display from him tonight too. And that was a top tackle.
Oh, yes. Yes, it was a great work for him to be out there. But once I thought it was a beautiful pass from young Peter Kay again.
Yes. And that Miles Murphy, it was nearly jitters time for Cabramatta High, because he was well and truly scooting away and on the move. So again we have
got a bit of prospect, that Kay. I've got to keep on throwing him up. He's
a workhorse and unloads the ball nicely.
Yes, that's what I like about it.
Yes. Well and truly wrapped up. And that was by Savar. Right on halfway. Seconds remaining, 3/4 of a minute.
Oh, that's it.
And there it is. The opening match of the Commonwealth Bank Cup, 1982. Evans High have defeated a very courageous Cabramatta High by 9 points to 5. Our first match at Leichhardt for the 1982 Commonwealth Bank Cup season saw a win to Evans High, defeating Cabramatta High by 9 points to 5. I should imagine for the coaches of Evans High, a very satisfying result. They've been beaten here in zone and group finals in years gone by, but tonight have an unhappy yet a brave start from Cabramatta High. I know an effort from the school. Alan Clarkson, your final analysis on that match.
Well, I thoroughly enjoy the players, a credit to themselves and to their schools and their coaches. And I personally love to see them play the football in the spirit that I believe that football should be played. But I have a lot of admiration for Cabramatta. I thought that they were very, very impressive the way that they stuck to their guns and they kept coming back. Now, Evans High going to be a very, very good woods, and when they get on a dry ground and they use that ball as they can, they're going to cause a lot of the big teams a lot of problems. They got into the 3rd round last year, as you pointed out, John, and I think they could go a little bit further this year.
Well, Alan, well said, and I know that you're headed for a big year with your respective papers, Herald and Sun Herald, as will Evans High, and we wish you well and hope that you can rejoin us later in the season.
Thank you very much, John.
Always good to see you. Alan Clarkson, our special guest tonight. Our thanks and warmest thanks to him, and likewise to Ray O'Donnell, our statistician. That's it till next Sunday morning at 9:15, when we'll be back with the second match of the 1982 Commonwealth Bank Cup. In the meantime, I'm John Brennan, and for the Commonwealth Bank, we've been here for Channel 10 Sports.